It's Film Friday, and today in Film News, I am really excited to talk about this film because while I am not a fan of horror films, necessarily new or old, I do realize that there seems to be an uptick of horror films being greenlit in Hollywood. And like I said, I'm not a fan, but what I like about this film is that it's not necessarily a jump scare horror film. Well, there'll probably be some jump scares. It's also a mystery. And it's also a thriller. So let's get into it. This week in Film News, we are talking about the Warner Brothers New Line Cinema mystery thriller horror pick, Weapons, starring our girl Julia Garner from Ozark. So let's get into it. Now, Weapons is being brought to us by writer-producer Zach Kreger, and we know him from Barbarian. And what I love about Zach is that he wrote, produced, and directed this. He's a man after my own heart. I mean, I feel like if you write, produce, and direct a film, essentially what you're saying is, hands off my shit. Like, I don't trust you. I have a vision, and I need to see it all the way through. So he is at the helm of this film. It's also a great cast of people. You've got Benedict Wong in this, our girl Julia Garner, and Josh Brolin. And now what I love is that while we know Josh Brolin from so many films, I just remember how I met him as a very small child watching a film called Goonies that was directed by Steven Spielberg. And now what I love about this is that there's actually going to be a Goonies remake, y'all. And it's not going to be a remake in the sense that it's going to be this reheated Hollywood remake that brings in a bunch of young actors to do the story over again. It's a remake in the sense that all them old niggas are coming back. And it's being directed by Steven Spielberg, which I think is pretty dope. So that's just a little tidbit about Josh Brolin. He's in this playing a grieving father that is looking for his son. You've got Julia Garner in this as the lead, playing the teacher. And while we've gotten into the cast, let's get into the plot. Now, Weapons takes place in this small town that basically has a class of 17 kids disappear into the night with no explanation. And now, like I said, it's a mystery in the sense that a lot of the film is a journey into finding out what happened to the kids and what's causing all of this demonic hysteria in this small town, right? And that's what I like about it. Because like I said, while I'm not a fan of horror films, I love a good mystery. I love a good thriller. And the trailer is just so well done and laid out that it makes you wonder, what the hell happened to them kids? Where did they go and why? So I definitely am going to go check it out when it's in theaters August 8th. I'm going to play the trailer for you now in case you're curious, and come back with a tidbit about a really creative, immersive marketing rollout that's being done by Warner Brothers in regards to the film. So stay tuned.
This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
I don't understand at all. Why just her classroom? Why only hers?
Where are our children?
We have a lot of emotional parents here. I think it's best if you keep some distance from this place.
Matthew, where are you? Where did you go?
This is where the story really starts.
Definitely one of the best trailers that I've seen in a while. Now, like I said, Warner Brothers has outdone themselves and created an immersive website called maybrookmissing.net. That's what it is, maybrookmissing.net. And what it is it's a site packed with a bunch of fake news articles, eerie voice recordings, witness interviews, and different things that coincide with the film that are designed to get the viewer engaged in the mystery of it all before going to see the film when it hits theaters August 8th. Now, while I'm not a fan of going to the website or doing things like that, if you go check it out, let me know in the comments what you think. I definitely will be in theaters seeing that August 8th because, like I said, I need to know what the hell happened to them kids and why. All right. But that is all for the real. Let's get into Stream Queens because I am super excited about this week's pick. All right. So this week in Stream Queen, we are talking about The Gilded Age on HBO Max. Now, listen, the way I stumbled upon The Gilded Age is hilarious because I actually fell asleep streaming Sinners the other night, right? I think I woke up at like 3 a.m. and there was this white period piece on my television, but I watched 15 to 30 minutes of it. I watched enough of it to know after I fell asleep that I wanted to watch it when I woke up in the morning and figure out what's going on that show. And I'm usually not a fan of period pieces that go that far back, but I'm a huge fan of this show. So let's get into all the reasons why. So first and foremost, The Gilded Age was created by Julian Fellowes. Now, we know Julian Fellowes from creating Downton Abbey. And now, while I didn't watch Downton Abbey, I remember what a huge hit it was from the BBC. It had Dame Maggie Lynch in it and a bunch of other very well-known and respected British actors. Like I said, I'm not a fan of period pieces like that, so I never got into that. But I stumbled upon this, and I'm really into it. So Julian has created this show. He's executive producing. And it's just really stacked with some amazing actors. You got Cynthia Nixon, who plays the redhead in Sex and the City. I can't remember her character's name, but I've watched that show every season and I'm also a big fan of And Just Like That. But Cynthia Nixon's in this show. And the actress that plays Agnes, I can't remember her name. I'm going to put it in post, but she's phenomenal. You got a new lead actress. I believe her name is Carrie Coon. Coon is the last name. It goes crazy, but she's amazing as well. Audra McDonald is in this. Let me tell you something. Audra McDonald, seasoned Broadway performer and actress. Audra McDonald is exactly who they say she is. Audra McDonald is exactly who she thinks that she is. And now, while this is a period piece, it's not one of those stuffy period pieces that's boring. It's all about New York and like high society New York in its beginning stages. Like if you've seen Gangs of New York, that's like New York when it just was first being built and made. This is somewhere around the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's all about the struggles of New York high society. You've got a whole Black storyline with upwardly mobile Black people. There's a really amazing scene with Thomas Edison and the first building that gets electricity. And it's this whole show and everybody's clapping. And it's just very well acted, very well directed. And speaking of very well directed, let's get into that because that's actually one of my favorite things about this show. One thing that I noticed right away after watching episode 1 is that it's being executive produced and directed by Sally Richardson Whitfield. Now, if you remember Sally Richardson, which she was known by back in the day in the 90s, she was just this badass Black actress that was in, you know, some films like Posse, Low Down Dirty Shame. But she has since then married DeAndre Whitfield, so now she's Sally Richardson Whitfield, and she has crossed over into directing. And when I say that she is a phenomenal director, I mean that she is a phenomenal director. And if you pay attention, she is behind directing some of the best TV shows that are out right now. And I don't even know if she's won an award yet, but I feel like she's long overdue if she hasn't. The show is absolutely phenomenal. And this is a Black woman directing this. It's just very well directed. And she's directing everything very well right now. So if you have a chance to catch The Gilded Age, you can stream it on HBO Max. It's in season 3. I'm already in season 2. I've gotten there in like 3 days. Spoiler alert, Felicia Rashad is starring in season 3. So definitely do yourself a favor and go check out Gilded Age on HBO Max. With that being said, let's get into this week's episode of Studio Shade is a doozy because Lionsgate. Come to the front, please. Now, let me just back it up because if you don't know what a huge Michael Jackson fan this whole house is, then you must not follow me on Instagram. But a couple fun facts. Michael Jackson died on my birthday, first of all, which is a downer, but in some weird way to me, it makes it more special because the greatest entertainer who will ever walk this earth, who made $600 million last year from the grave, decided to transcend on my born day, which I feel like makes my day special, right? I have a 13-year-old son who was born 2 years after Michael Jackson died, who has to be his biggest fan. And I've never forced Michael Jackson on my children. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm just finds Michael Jackson for these kids, but he's just the greatest. And I just feel like every single biopic that he's had has just been a disservice to him. And I was excited about this one because I felt like, all right, it's Anton Fuqua at the helm of this, and we're going to finally get it right. But we got it wrong. In this episode of Studio Shade this week, it turns out that the release date's getting pushed back into 2026 because they realized that there is a key 1993 scandal scene that violated a legal settlement. So there's already over 3.5 hours worth of footage shot. So that's going to mean bigger reshoots, bigger delays, and definitely a pushback for the premiere of this film. Now, I'm going to do a very special film news on all of the failed Michael Jackson biopics with the exclusion of Jackson Family American Dream, which was more about the whole family and their rise to fame, done by VH1. Phenomenal film. No complaints there. But every biopic since then has been shit. I was excited about this one. Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. I trust Coleman, so it's never a matter of his performance. It's just that all the other cast members have just been cast as far as a look, I believe. They are talented as well, but with him, I think it's more of an embodying the essence type of thing, kind of like Lawrence Fishburne plays Ike Turner. Even though he was lighter skinned and didn't look like Ike Turner, he was definitely Ike Turner. And I think that's what Coleman's going to give us. You've got Nia Long playing Katherine Jackson, and she looks like a dead ringer. And you've got Halle Bailey playing Janet Jackson, and Jafar Jackson playing Michael Jackson. That's his nephew. You know, it's a perfect situation that I think is going to equal out to a great biopic. But unfortunately, we're going to be getting it a little bit later than we wanted to. So that's that for Studio Shade. With that being said, let's get into the red carpet rundown, because this week's red carpet rundown is pretty super, if I may say so myself. All right, so this week in the red carpet rundown, we have the cast of the new Superman. Now, just in case you've been living under a rock, the new Superman is going to be in theaters this Friday, July 11th. And it's got an amazing cast. One of my favorite TV actresses that is making her transition into film, Rachel Brosnahan, who played the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. You've got David Cornsweet in this, Nicholas Hoult from Warm Bodies, which is one of my favorite zombie films, and Anthony Carrigan from Barry. And now, I'm not going to do much talking about these red carpet looks because for once I feel like the entire cast understood the assignment, all right, at the LA premiere at Man's Chinese. So we're going to get into some of these looks, and I'm going to let the sound effects do the talking, all right? She ate. She fucking ate. Shout out to the men in the Superman cast. I mean, those are some of my favorite looks. I mean, because look, suits can be really boring, but when they're done right, they can be transcendent. So shout out to the Superman cast, especially Anthony Carrigan. His suit just happened to be my favorite, all right? I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but there you have it. I had to. Now, you know I got to ask you to like the video. I got to ask you to share. I got to ask you to comment if you can, and or subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and the Patreon. Make sure you come back next week, because next week in Real, we are talking about the hype beast of filmmakers. This guy, when he drops a trailer, he gets the community talking. But once you get your ass in that seat, the results kind of vary. So I'm excited about next week. Look, I will give you $5 if you can guess in the comments what next week's Real is going to be. All right? But that's all for this week. Thank you for always rocking with me. Until next time, this has been Film News You Can Use.